What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome to Leafs Digest. Here we are breaking down Leafs winning their preseason game 3-1 versus the Ottawa Senators. This Leafs team looking pretty good in the preseason so far. But if you're new to this channel, if you've been watching this channel before, you already know we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So, if you haven't already, make sure you go and hit that subscribe button right now. If you're not going to do it right now, make sure you do it at the end of the video on your way out. When you're going to check out our channel and you're going to go and watch all the rest of the videos we have breaking down certain players, videos we did over the summer, or even if you are just sick-minded and for some reason you want to go and watch Josh and I break down the end of the Game 7 result and our reaction to the Leafs losing to the Montreal Canadiens, losing another first-round series, having another first-round exit in just devastating fashion. If that's something you want to do, that's something you're interested in, make sure you like these videos as well, and then hit that subscribe button on the way out. Josh and I are absolutely battling here to get to 1,000 subscribers, so we appreciate all the support along the way. We appreciate everyone who's been following us from the beginning, anyone who's just joined into this channel. We love the support you guys bring, but make sure you guys help us out getting to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Now, let's get right into the game here. So tonight, the Leafs win this one 3-1. We have 2 goals from Pierre Engvall and a goal from Amadio. Honestly, in the preseason, it's hard to evaluate the team as a whole. I think that every night the lineup is changing. Guys end up in different positions. They're playing different spots of the ice. They're playing with new players each and every night in a preseason setting. The preseason is less so about evaluating the team as a whole, especially in these earlier games. We still have 2 games left. Like, we haven't even seen a guy like Austin Matthews hit the ice yet. We haven't seen John Tavares, William Nylander, Mitch Marner all play in the same game kind of situation. So it's hard to evaluate the team as a whole. How is the team playing? How's the power play? How's the penalty kill? We can't really get into that stuff right away in the preseason here. It's a weird time for that kind of evaluation, so we tend to stick more towards individual players and how they've been playing. So the first player I want to shout out here, and it's a guy that I said in the first preseason game and when we did that live reaction after that first game and then even after the second game that we did, Josh Ho-Sang deserves a lot of credit. This is a guy who worked his way out of the NHL, worked his way out of North American pro hockey to a point where we kind of ruled him out. He was well known coming into the league as a guy who was highly skilled, but he had some character issues. He had some flaws there. Now, this guy has clearly made big steps in his game. I think that this guy has evolved his game all the way around. He seems to be a guy who doesn't give up on plays. He seems to battle hard all the way through. He forechecks hard. He knows how to perform in the offensive zone, not even just in terms of doing skilled plays or making good passes or going to the net. He's a guy who goes and wins puck battles and can anticipate where the puck is going to be pretty well. Now, Josh Ho-Sang, he still has a lot to prove here. He's not a guy who's going to jump into this lineup right away, but he definitely deserves a contract, and I really hope it's the Toronto Maple Leafs who give it to him. I think he's a guy who should end up starting in the minors here, but I think that at some point along the way, injuries will occur. I mean, you knock on wood that it's not going to be very important pieces and they won't last for a long time. You never want to see guys go down, but if a guy like Josh Ho-Sang does get an opportunity to come up with this team, he's definitely a guy that I would be looking for to make the most of his opportunity coming up and playing here with this team. I think he's a guy who he really, really could make some kind of impact at some point later on. You look at a guy like Galchenyuk being inserted into the lineup later on, and he became a guy who was playing every single night for the most part. Like, he was a guy who was proven to be able to play well with certain players in this lineup. We looked at Josh and I and said, yeah, he can't move down the lineup further, but he still ended up slotting in alongside John Tavares, and he looked good in that position. And I think this is a guy, Josh Ho-Sang, who could kind of see himself in a similar role. Even if he ends up sliding down a little bit more, I think he's a guy who could be tenacious and fight for pucks and bring some sort of jam to this lineup that he's shown in the preseason, at least, that I think could translate into a regular season for him. A guy who's returning here, who we're looking to have a big year, especially after what he did last year, is Jack Campbell. We didn't really touch on him too much in the game that they lost to the Habs. I think he kind of got hung out to dry there a little bit, and it wasn't too much on him, I would say, and say, oh my God, Jack Campbell didn't play that well tonight, or Jack Campbell didn't do this, Jack Campbell didn't do that. He kind of just had a crappy situation. He only plays half the game. You don't really get to settle into it. A night like tonight, Jack Campbell, to me, looked very steady. I think in years past, we've looked at Leafs goaltenders. Mostly Freddie Anderson from that standpoint, but then even when a guy like Michael Hutchison or Garrett Sparks ended up in net, they let up one goal, and it's even a bad, fluky goal. It's not really their fault. They kind of seem to waver a little bit. They get away from what they were doing earlier in the game until that point of that bad goal, and it can get away from them. Jack Campbell tonight had a tip in against him that really he couldn't do anything about. It was a puck going one way, he's square to the shot, he's going to make a good save, and then bang, it goes the other way from about 3 to 5 feet in front of him. Nothing you can really do, and then from that point on, he looked really good. He didn't have any world-beating saves, nothing that's going to end up on highlight reels, but he looked steady, he looked calm, he looked comfortable, and he looked like he was a guy that was comforting the teammates around him. Whether that just be verbally or whether it be through his play, he did seem to support everyone in front of him, his defense, his offense, and guys looked comfortable and confident playing in front of him. Two new guys to this Leafs lineup who I've really liked throughout the preseason so far, David Kampf and Ondrej Kase. Kase, his offense and defensive abilities seem to be very strong here. He seems to be very aware in both ends of the ice. He seems to have strong and high levels of hockey IQ to know to be in the right places at the right time. He's a good puck mover. He's very good at looking around, making the right pass, making the right play, making a smart play, a smart decision. And then on the other end of it, being in the defensive zone, being in the right space, having an active stick, having his sticks in lanes, taking bodies, never losing guys or being out of position. And then he looks very strong on the penalty kill as well. So if this is a guy who can bring some offensive ability here, he had that 20-goal season in Anaheim a few years ago. He did suffer from injuries, but if he can stay healthy, bring a little bit of offensive game that can provide some depth scoring, and then be strong defensively, when you look at a guy like Zach Hyman leaving, and I know you can't compare Ondrej Kase to Zach Hyman, especially not right now, but it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable as a Leafs fan, as someone watching this team who's followed for a long time, knowing here's a guy who can come in here and do it on both ends of the ice. Not incredible at either one of the positions or either ends of the ice, but he's very comfortable in both. And when you look at a guy like Zach Hyman leaving, who we'd say some games was the best defensive player, some games was an incredible offensive player and providing a lot of chances, and you lose that situation, to replace him with a guy for $1.5 million, it's very comforting to know that that's there. And then on the other hand, David Kampf. This is a guy who came here on a cheap deal. We were all kind of wondering, what is this guy going to be? He had low offensive numbers. We didn't really think he was going to be able to produce that much, but we knew he was very, very strong defensively. Throughout the preseason, he's definitely shown that. I think in his first game, he scored the shorthanded goal, or the second game, sorry, he scored a shorthanded goal. It's a cheesy one, for sure. Goes down on the goaltender coughs it away, and he kind of just taps it in. No big deal, not really a big, oh my God, this guy can score goals at will kind of moment, but he still buries one. He still puts it in the net, and then he's playing penalty kill, he's winning draws, and he is very smart defensively. We saw it play tonight in the second period. He's back-checking on a 2-on-1 and just steals the puck away right away from the middle, getting in the right place, to active stick, getting that puck out of the way, out of harm's way, and shutting down a play that was a high threat of a scoring chance. So David Kampf looked very good. Now, one guy that I do want to get into here, and he's going to earn the Poppy Power Play of the day. It's going to be a guy, a Toronto boy. He played on this team last year. He's a guy that brings a lot of energy to this lineup, and I know that it doesn't specifically stand out as like, oh my God, he did anything specifically incredible, but for a preseason game and for a guy to bring this intensity, this energy, Wayne Simmonds going after Drake Batherson after he hit Alex Biega. I saw, if you can watch the replays, I'm sure someone online will pinpoint this out. Biega gets hit, the camera pans away, and Wayne Simmonds on the bench, out of pure intensity and emotion, snaps his stick on the bench strictly because of the way Biega got hit. Goes out 2 shifts later and goes hunting after Drake Batherson. In a regular season game or a playoff game, this is a type of thing you don't really want to see out of a guy. You don't want to see him going out of his way to go after someone and take a dumb penalty. But in a preseason game, when a guy who is a solidified NHLer in Drake Batherson goes after someone trying out to make this Leafs team in Alex Biega and just has a high head-hunting, dirty kind of hit in that situation that I do believe should be penalized and have the NHL take a look at, for him to go out there and be like, boys, I've got your back no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what depth you are on this team, whether you're a regular, whether you're Austin Matthews, whether you're a guy who's going to slot in and out here like Alex Biega, I have your back. And the Leafs have seemed to bring an level of intensity through this preseason of like, we aren't taking any crap from anybody. And to see not just guys trying out like Curtis Gabriel or Michael Bunting getting in a scrum here and there, a guy like Wayne Simmonds, who is going to be on this team, is going to be in this lineup, providing some fire and saying, boys, I've got your backs at all times. You kind of love to see that. And then, yes, the Sens scored after. It makes it a 1-1 game, but then it turns around. The Leafs take this one 3-1, and it's like you just see a little bit of firepower there of the boys feeling comfortable, and a guy like Drake Batherson kind of stepping back in his seat saying, like, there's a guy like Wayne Simmonds out here hunting after me because I've been an idiot all night running around. That is going to stick in his brain as this regular season gets going. He's going to remember a play like that, and the guys on the Sens are going to remember plays like that, and especially when you don't have guys really to stick up to a guy like Wayne Simmonds, it's something positive for this Leafs team to be like, we do have some team toughness here. It's not just, we're going to go out here and we're going to have one guy who's going to kill you. We do have team toughness. We do stick up for ourselves, and we have each other's backs here, which is very positive to see. One thing I do want to get into before we kind of head out on this one is a very interesting situation that I'm seeing portray in front of our eyes here. We did get the news before the season started, the preseason started, that Ilya Mikheyev had requested a trade from this Leafs team, and he wanted more minutes. He's looking for a bigger role, and otherwise he kind of wanted to see himself out the door, but the Leafs felt that he plays a prominent role on this team. When I watch him out there, I do think he creates a lot of chances. I think he does a lot of things right, and I think that in order for him to stay here, he needs to accept the role and embrace the role that he's been given and that he fits into on this team. He's not a guy who's going to play 20 plus minutes a night. He's not a guy who's going to score 40, 50 goals. He is a guy who's going to kill penalties, who's going to create chances, and he just has to bury a few more on those breakaways because that is where he's generating most of his chances. With his speed, getting odd man rushes, and he needs to capitalize more there. But a guy that's kind of competing, I'd say, almost in a similar role as him, would be a guy like Pierre Engvall. Now, Pierre Engvall scores 2 goals tonight. Good for him. But ultimately, I think Pierre Engvall is the guy here on the outside looking in. Pierre Engvall is the guy that's hoping for a spot in this lineup. And I think there's too many guys ahead of him for him to grab a solid spot. I think we're going to see Pierre Engvall at some point here see his way out the door. Yes, he can kill penalties, and yes, good for him. He scored those 2 goals tonight. But remember, we're playing the Ottawa Senators here, and Pierre Engvall was one of the few guys on this Leafs team who's played a consistent role in the NHL these past few seasons, so he's got to look pretty good in the preseason. Now, when you look at the roster and the depth ahead of him in this lineup, I just don't see a scenario where a guy like Pierre Engvall slides in here, especially when I look at a guy like Adam Brooks, who looks pretty good out there. I was comfortable with what I saw from Adam Brooks last season and what he did into the playoffs and where he was playing with Spezza and Thornton. He looked good to me. Now, in this preseason, I've also, again, liked what I've seen from Brooks. He looks comfortable. He looks confident. He looks NHL ready. And when I see a guy like that who's also on a cheaper contract than Pierre Engvall, not by much, but still he is on a cheaper contract, I'd much rather see a guy like Adam Brooks ahead of him, especially if they can do relatively the same thing in terms of offensive production. I'm more comfortable with Adam Brooks's level of hockey IQ, especially in the defensive zone, and his ability to avoid turnovers the way that Pierre Engvall can't, where he does seem to turn the puck over a lot or make bad mistakes that lead to the puck going the other way. I would much rather have a guy like Adam Brooks ahead of him in the lineup. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. Where does Pierre Engvall slot? Where does he end up? Where is he gonna fit into this lineup? Is he going to fit into this lineup? Is he going to get shipped out the door? We'll see how that unfolds as things goes on. Last thing I want to do here is give a grade for the game. So overall, I'm just going to give this grade. I think I'm just going to give this one a B+, to be honest with you. I think that it's a Monday night preseason game that's not featuring too many of the big guys. We didn't have any of the top 6 players really playing. We didn't have Nick Ritchie. We don't have John Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, Marner. You're missing 3 of your top, actually essentially 4 of your top 4 deep not playing tonight. You see a good, strong defensive performance. A guy like Jack Campbell plays well, and then you win the game against an Ottawa team that's fielding basically what's going to be their opening night roster to start the NHL season. And for this Leafs team to come out here and win 3-1 and show some resiliency to lead the game 1-0, give up a later one to tie the game 1-1, and then you steal 2 goals later in the game to give yourself some confidence, give yourself the win, and just know, hey, like, no matter what happens here, we can still roll through this. And this isn't even a team full of NHLers out here tonight. We have a bunch of AHL guys sliding into this lineup, guys who are going to slide back to the minors or wherever they're from. It is comforting to see. You like to see that. It's just not a great game overall, so I can't slide it into the A territory, but a B+, I do feel comfortable giving. Leafs fans, season is getting real close here. We got 2 preseason games left. We're going to start to see some more NHL guys actually that are going to be regulars in the lineup starting to slide in as we get ready for this preseason. The team, we're going to start to evaluate more as a whole than just individuals here. And I think things are going to be really exciting. So if you want to see more Leafs content, if you want to follow this channel, if you like what you see here, make sure you comment. Tell us what you think about the game. Tell us which players stood out to you. Do you disagree or agree with any of my opinions or any of my takes? Do you think Josh Ho-Sang deserves a contract? Let us know in the comments. Like this video, share it. Most importantly, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, trying to get there as soon as we can. We can bring more content to you guys, more live videos coming, more live reactions, more interactive things for you guys as the fans, more things that are just enjoyable for Josh and I to do as well, breaking down this Leafs game, maybe watching games with you guys coming soon. So make sure you subscribe to this channel for all things Leafs. We got more things coming, but we will see you guys after the next game tomorrow night, Tuesday, September 5th against the Montreal Canadiens at 7 p.m. Leafs fans, we'll see you guys then. Keep believing.